So come on in, take a sip. Let's wind down. It's Thursday. Thursday's upon us. And, I'm kind of hoping we get a rebus today. Or a bunch of them. Something that'll kind of spice it up a bit. But I'm having today a wine, if you've ever paid much attention to the wine portion here, you'll see the label here, right? It's a Zweigelt. It's a type of wine here in Germany that I kind of think of it as like the German, Austrian version of Beaujolais, really. Like these are not agers, these are the kinds of wines that tend to, you get them, you drink them, right? You know what I mean? Like they're kind of like an annual varietal, and you just better get them down because they don't necessarily age that well. So when you're looking at Zweigelt, you're really looking for a date on the bottle that's relatively close to the date that you're currently, considering. So, and I think that's really kind of an important piece to it. I'm not saying they can't. It's just in my head, it's like a Beaujolais. You get it, you drink it, you chill it, kind of like the Schwarzer Riesling, the dark Rieslings. It's just one of those wonderful reds that, should just be chilled and enjoyed, as you go. And this one, on the nose, got that typical cassis and also a great deal of minerality kind of pushing through, right? And this is an Austrian Zweigelt. But on the palate, it's smooth. There's no tannins. It's obviously refreshing, very much so. And it's just like a glass full of happiness, right? It's dry, but I think the olfactory appeal is that fruity, sweet. It kind of makes it a whole thing. So from the gestalt, if you will, it's really just a wonderful experience, and it's perfect for spring, summer, fall. And if you live in Germany, it's pretty good in the winter too, because these apartments get pretty warm, right? With the rad system, the radiator system that we've got, and so there's something to consider. But I do love a Zweigelt. It is one of my favorite wines, and so always sets the day up beautifully for whatever we're about to get into. So I'm still working on my posture, even thinking about getting one of those balls that you sit on at your desk, but I can't possibly bring myself to do that, so that's probably not going to happen as such. So we've got a Emily Biegas and Wanetick construction, Wanetick, edited by Will Shorts. So let's hop on into it and see what we got for the day. And I have to say to Sue Shoemaker, Delaware was just the furthest thing I could think of at the time from Paris, right? I think Delaware's got some fantastic stuff. I'm sure of it. I was just trying to make a comparison to the croissant from Paris is going to be the best it could possibly be. A pretzel from Germany is going to probably be, the ideal. That was really all I was saying. I was just trying to find I should have just come up with Kalamazoo or something instead, right? And it would have been a little bit more alliterative, croissants from Kalamazoo. But alas, I wasn't that witty, and I do apologize. Don't want shade at Delaware by any stretch. So it's just, please don't be upset. Let's hop into it. So we've got a major league team known as the Northsiders locally, and that was going to be the Cubs. I saw a documentary a few years back about, I think it was called The Battered Bastards of Baseball. It was about the minor leagues, and it got me to really reading about some other stuff. And it turns out, each one of these major league teams, they have their own little groups of minor teams, right, that they can kind of, nurture, grow, bring up, so to speak, and then pick from the best and brightest to put on the team. So interesting stuff. But the Battered Bastards of Baseball is a very interesting show. Very interesting. It was a documentary, and I don't really watch those often, but that one got me. Curve that gives one pause. I have no idea. Heckle phone relative could very well be an oboe, though. 1970 Van Morrison track title. Well, we'll know that soon. I am a huge fan of Van Morrison. I think my favorite song has got to be Into the Mystic. Yeah, that's it. German war vessel. I guess we're talking about a U-boat. If it were spelled like, if it were the German spelling, that A would be an O. It'd be two O's, and it's not Das Boot. It's Das Boot. But still, really interesting. What a step stool provides, I guess, a boost. Mood. Oh, I don't know. What do you think? Maybe a sentiment? Let's see how we do with that. How some points end up? No idea. A best man may make one. How about a toast? A toast to Delaware and all the fine dining available there. Cheers. I mean, as cold as it gets, I imagine it's like stew heaven. Stew and soup and comfort food heaven. I bet y'all do things with potatoes, which I can't eat. But if I were to change my diet around, I could certainly eat them, right? So yeah, I'm just saying, I bet you anything, Delaware's a comfort food capital of, what, it's something. I mean, I just imagine so. K9 command, how about to sit? I think we're okay on those. I think photographer Golden, how about some Nan? I think it's been a long time. I just wish I could say like Christopher Hitchens. It was like, well, Annie Leibovitz was there and took a picture of us on our wedding night. What kind of stroke of genius does that have to have? Oh my gosh. Not straight up in a way. How about on ice? Not straight up could be on ice. Yeah. Not so neat, is it? Possess could be to own. So I guess some points end up at moot. That's a moot point, right? We just say that. So part of the house in which Kevin is left behind in Home Alone, and I think that was an attic. But whenever I think of Christmas movies and attics, I think of Chevy Chase taking a tumble when he's wearing his mother's fur coat, and I didn't know what that's supposed to be. A topsy-turvy, or what was that thing called? I mean, he had something on his head. I don't know.
Didn't he have a old ladies thing?
Yeah, but it seemed like maybe it was like one of those things you wear in the bath or something to dry your hair. I don't know. A turby twisty. Okay, that helps me. Got to keep up with my Ronco commercials. So the spray-on hair was my favorite one. Part of a restaurant's ambiance could be the decor. So I think for our 70 Van Morrison title track, we've got Moon Dance. And Shotzi and I love to dance to that one with both of my left feet. But I think my favorite Van Morrison song's got to be Into the Mystic. He's got a lot of good ones. He's got one that just came out a couple years ago that I really like too. So, I mean, what a great artist. Curve that gives one pause. And I guess we're going to go with a comma here. Now, that's just interesting. So now we have an ace of spades here. So I don't see any circles, though. Maybe, I don't know. That don't mean anything about rebuses, but reminder of a past fight, maybe. It could be a scar. So, IRS figure. We're just really getting a lot of Social Security numbers in these days, too. Karaoke choice. I'm assuming we're talking about a song. So, Ace of Spades. Master G. For real to Gen Z. I've only had this a couple of times, maybe once. I'm going to have to remember this. Urban housing option. I'm assuming a co-op, and that's interesting in and of itself. You don't see them very often in there. Maybe a chicken coop. I don't know. End of story could be period. Well, now that goes with our comma nicely. King of clubs. Well, clearly we've got Tiger Woods here. Okay, I'm seeing the joke or the theme. It's coming through. It's clever. Blotto. Well, I got a G. I'm gonna go for gone. Just toast, right? Ending with lemon or cannon. Maybe an aid. Cannot. Checked like a bouncer for short, and I'm assuming ID'd. So a Japanese lunchbox would be a bento, and I guess we got ourselves part of a brass band would be a tuba, and then we got yaki udon. So not anything to do with Yucky Silva. He got left out of this one. Neighbor of an Emirati. How about an Omani? I've been to both countries very briefly. Like we're talking like on an airstrip for 12 hours, drinking warm water. I remember looking down. Maybe it was in Doha. I can't remember. But I remember looking down at my son too, looking at the humidity and the temperature and the time, and it was like 138 degrees Fahrenheit in the back of that C-130. Oh yeah, and you'd pour that water on you, but you didn't have any breeze to sweat, to cool you off. Oh, it's just a miserable experience. I don't know. Ugh. Bud, okay, probably a PAL or a MAC. I don't know. River through 6 Asian countries. If that's MAC, submit. I don't know. Queen of Hearts. So a Queen of Hearts. How about a matchmaker? Very well be the neighborhood Yenta. Active ingredient in some gummies. Okay, we'll put THC in here. That's good. Vape informally. How about an e-cig? Certain skirts. Middies or minis, right? Let's see. 40. I don't know yet. Jack of diamonds. Well, going back up to the top here, what do we got going on with this? We got Ace of Spades. Is that a Master Gardener? Let's check. Fundamental precepts. Pillars? Well, it's not exactly this is not going to be an easy grid today, is it? So for real to Gen Z, I guess it'd be no cap. I don't know. That's if Master Gardener's right. Kathy Griffin, My Life on the D list. And let's see. Line of Rulers ended by the 33 down. Well, I can see that that's going to be ending in an R, 33 down, and we start with a T on the cross. I'm going to go with Czars and USSR. And we'll see where that takes us. Let's see where it goes. AC measure, how about a BTU? Corner could be to tree. Now that is clever, actually. Give orders loudly and curtly. Okay, I'm going to bark them out here today. Chile's Nevado Tres Cruces National Park. So Nicki Minaj or Iggy Pop as an example, and I guess maybe a stage name? You mean Mr. and Mrs. Pop didn't name their baby boy Iggy? Ugh, that's awful. It can follow anyone. How about else? That would be cool. Look at me, just wanting to put it in because it would be cool. Follow, perhaps ensue, but now I'm getting way out of my comfort zone here. NBA star, Ginobili, and I think that was Manu. I think podiatric maladies could be corns, especially considering I'm not going to get to fit hallux abductovalgus in there. Plantar fasciitis, neuroma. I think we're going to go with corns. So standard, maybe usual. And that puts a deuce at the top for 40-40. So tied giving us middies and big race that's no longer around. How about dinosaurs? That's clever too. But there's no card to go along with it. So we got the Jack of Diamonds. Do we have Jackie Robinson here? I don't know. Throw out, maybe to eject. That gives me Jackie. Maybe. There's no guarantees on any of this. We need to be serious about checking the downs and crosses. Freelancers lack. How about a boss? Well, I freelanced a lot in my life, and you still have a boss. If you didn't marry that boss, you got to stare at that boss in the face in the mirror when you're shaving in the morning. So it doesn't make it any easier. CIA predecessor could be the Office of Special Services. So rare golf scores. I'm assuming ones. All right, Cynthia of Wicked, and that was Revo, wasn't it, Shotzi? I think it's Revo.
Cynthia?
Yeah. December has two big ones. How about Big Eves? But the Eve that I care the most about is Christopher's Eve on March 7th every year. It's my favorite. So submit, maybe exceed. I don't know, bud. I guess it could be Mac if that's the case. And then I think our river through 6 Asian countries would be Mekong. Used to hear my dad telling me stories all the time about being in the Mekong Delta during, the Vietnam campaign. That's what we'll call it. So a sparkling water additive could be an essence. And that gives us our exceed. So actress Hayek, I guess Salma. Sharp flavor could be a tang. Oh, geez, you can't do that. Come on. Hey, I'm walking here. Notable descendant, gonna go with a Scion. 2025 Pixar film. I guess this would be Elio? Well, I'm already dying to see it. So, thank you, Sue. I insult the haute couture of your state, and in return, you give me wonderful movies to watch. It hardly seems fair at all. I better do some serious atoning. Oh, man. We're going to have Yom Kippur in July here. We're just going to do it. Happened to... Oh, my gosh. This reminds me so much of my very first non-medical field boss. I was like 22, 23 years old, went to work at an ad agency, and Brant was running it. He owned it. Common fossil fuel being oil. And he used to always, every day he'd just take all the mail that was on his desk, unopened or otherwise, and just swoosh it on off into a trash can next to his desk. And he'd always say, if it's that important, they'll send another. And then he always used to say, oh, what evil has befallen me since last night? Because putting away a gallon of scotch can kind of make you forget stuff. So, yeah, good old times. Good old days, right? Playbill bits. How about bios? Sibyl's. Okay, Sears. So I guess we do have a master gardener. Here I am just throwing, Elson and Sue and all this stuff around on the bottom like it's no big deal, devil may care. But I don't fill out master gardener because I'm concerned about accuracy, whatever. It makes no sense. Like Stonehenge. That's why I got to push my guys to 11. So like Stonehenge vis-a-vis the Parthenon, and I do believe that would be older. Barbershop choice would be a fade. And Glazier of Broad City, I'm assuming, is Ilana. Marie Claire competitor could be L. Unless we fat-fingered something, which is altogether possible. How did we do, Bob? I always wonder, is that little ditty just made just for the New York Times Crossword? Is it some guys that work there just did it in the garage on a weekend and sold it for a couple grand or something? Or is it a part of a bigger song? I don't know. I'd like to know. So I thought Moondance was great along with dinosaurs, and these are not part of the theme. But the Master Gardener, Ace of Spades, hilarious actually. The King of Clubs, Tiger Woods, Queen of Hearts being a matchmaker, and of course Jackie Robinson, the Jack of Diamonds. So very, very cool. I don't know anything about Elio yet. I think once Google and Amazon realize that Pixar is on my radar screen now, thanks to Sue and others, and Andy Wong, by the way, always got his own channel too, by the way, Andy the Solver, and he's really been kind of hot on Pixar a long time as well, so it's really nice. But yeah, just a really well done grid everywhere around it. You got the SSN, but I'm not sure that you can really avoid it these days, right? That's a very strange thing. But when you get right down to it, when it comes to constructing a grid, the language of the times, the voice of the people, the vox populi, right? The zeitgeist of the era, that all kind of comes through. And, you've got things like no cap and whatever that's supposed to mean. Like no kidding, I guess, right? For real to Gen Z. But I now need to find out what that actually stands for. That's interesting. So I think I've got it committed to memory at this point, but I don't quite know what it means. Are you just dropping the R like no crap? Or what, right? So that's what I've got kind of hanging in my head here. But Emily Biegas and Sala Wanetick, this is fantastic work. Really a beautiful grid. So cheers to you both. Cin-Cin. And we'll bring down our Benny Dadu, and we'll leave it at that. So I'm going to write my apology letter now to Sue and try to get everything, right as rain. And everything should be okay. Again, I was just thinking, what is the furthest thing I can think of from Paris? Or, I just kind of found in Delaware. Next time, I'll make sure I'll draw up those metaphors to install something a little bit,
Your wife loves the great state of Delaware.
Alliterative, and yes, and Shotzi loves Delaware. And if I ever get there more than a couple of days, I will, I'm sure, love it too. So. Nevertheless, so I'm going to go with the more alliterative approach in the future. So, croissants from Kalamazoo, right? So we kind of keep it in that, Anyway, until we see you again on the next round, ich wünsche Ihnen einen schönen Tag noch. Auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss. Servus. Grüß Gott. Ciao. Cin-Cin. Be well, everyone. We'll see you on the other side for our Friday grid. And until then, just be safe and be well. And do your best to be kind to strangers. You never know. Everybody's fighting their own battle, right? Cheers.